Hi, everyone. Before I begin this reaction and analysis of REN's For Joe, I feel compelled to speak to you with candor that is perhaps a little more tremulous than usual. This is not merely another song request from a generous Buy Me a Coffee supporter, though I'm deeply grateful that it was sent my way, because I was told before pressing play the sorrowful constellation around which this piece was written. For Joe is REN's aching tribute to his best friend Joe, who died by suicide at the heartbreakingly young age of 19, I believe. And knowing that, I must confess that I came to this performance with both dread and a desperate reverence. There are songs one analyzes with the mind, and there are songs one approaches almost barefoot and barehearted, as though entering some sacred ground. This unmistakably is the latter. It is a composition that I've heard is just steeped in grief, remembrance, survivor's guilt, and that strange, haunting archaeology of loss. And the way memory becomes both sanctuary and wound in this manner. And if I seem especially hushed and especially careful in the way I handle this performance, it is because the subject does not live for me in abstraction, because I too lost my childhood best friend 3 years ago to suicide. And what you're witnessing here is, let's just play it. Beautiful. First time I'm hearing on piano, I think. Nice setting.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk, there's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you, absurd, fuck. Another domino, it falls. A across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body, but for everything it's worth. Made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
Okay, sorry, I just need to take a minute. I forgot to pause. But we're going to analyze the lyrics, I promise. That hit home in a very, very different way. So, yeah, let's take a look at the lyrics and analyze it. Gonna have to run through that again though, because yeah. I will pause this time. Yeah, I didn't hear him play piano until this, so this is really good. He's excellent. That's a very classical start. Bit of vocalese.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci.
So Shakespearean.
Double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness. Hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped.
Bloody hell. Okay, let's Let's analyze that. So from that first verse, this isn't a song, it's an open wound just rendered as metaphor. It is grief-soaked soliloquy in which every line feels as though it has been dredged from the seabed of memory, guilt, and unbearable love. It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. For me, that just establishes the emotional architecture of the song. Ren is a man speaking from a place of spiritual maiming, of thwarted ascent, of a life made heavy by loss. The image is devastatingly simple and yet almost mythic. The inability to rise, to heal, to move forward because something essential has been taken from you. Then your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. That deepens the anguish. He is trying to sustain himself from absence itself, reaching for comfort where there is none, attempting to quench emotional thirst with vacancy. It is a perfect metaphor for bereavement, especially bereavement shaped by unanswered questions, because grief so often demands nourishment from a void. You know, the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. It's hyperbolic in the most exquisite sense. Like I said, it's almost Shakespearean in scale, turning private sorrow into something almost elemental, vast enough to rival nature itself. And this is not merely sadness, it is a flood, deluge, inundation. And then comes the astonishingly idiosyncratic, I see the words through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. A line that to me suggests a mind trying to impose pattern, rhythm, and mathematical order on chaos. Fibonacci evokes sacred geometry, the hidden logic of the universe. Double Dutch evokes childhood movement, play, and syncopation. And together they form a startling juxtaposition. Ren is seeing life through both cerebral pattern and nostalgic innocence, as though he is ricocheting between intellect and memory, between trying to understand loss and trying to remember what existed before it happened. And then the verse just pivots with bruising honesty. I guess that there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. That line lands with the exhausted fatalism of someone who has wrestled with fairness and found none. There is no grand philosophical resolution here, only the bitter recognition that life distributes suffering with grotesque indifference. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job, is one of those lines that Ren delivers with brutal brilliance. The pun is sharp, but emotionally it reveals that healing has been clumsy, incomplete, perhaps even self-damaging. He is not elegantly processing pain, he is hacking at it, trying desperately to excise resentment and finding that grief does not submit so easily to surgery. Then I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck. To my ear, one of the most haunting images in this verse. Youth becomes something sealed away, hidden, buried under layers of inaccessible except as cargo. It suggests that the loss of Joe did not merely wound him, it entombed him in an entire era of innocence, friendship, and becoming. And finally, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge. That's almost unbearable in its emotional force, because the location now becomes symbolic, not just a place, but a threshold between who he was before and after. He is telling us in devastating poetic shorthand that when Joe died, something in Ren's own boyhood, his joy, the emotional continuity died with him. And that is what makes this verse so extraordinary. It is not only about mourning a friend, it is about violent collapse of an inner world, the way loss can exile you from your own past. And as someone who has also lost a childhood best friend, I can tell you there is something terrifyingly authentic here. Ren is not writing about grief from a distance, he is writing inside it. And that is why every line feels less like performance and more like confession. And even interpreting it feels like confession. Okay, let's keep it going.
Inside the pickup truck, then dump that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying. And holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk, there's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you, absurd, fuck.
Yeah, let's look at the lyrics. I honestly can say I didn't think this would hit home as hard as it did. So here Ren stops poetizing around the grief and walks straight into the bloody furnace. I think about that sometimes vividly, what it felt like to look down and see tranquility. That's unbearable in its tenderness because he is attempting the impossible act of empathetic imagination, trying to inhabit Joe's final state of mind, not to sensationalize it, but to understand it, to locate some elusive stillness in a moment that shattered everyone left behind. And one sudden movement in a world of possibility, only one movement to expose our fragility. Philosophically devastating. Ren distills the entire human condition into a single irreversible instant in a universe teeming with futures, with roads not yet taken, with friendships not yet finished. It takes only one moment to reveal how heartbreakingly delicate we all are. Then he detonates the emotional restraint entirely. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. That may be one of the most truthful lines in the entire song, because grief of this kind is never only the loss of the person, it is the loss of the self that existed in relation to them. That line is extraordinary. He doesn't merely miss Joe, he misses the version of Ren who was whole, boyish, unwounded, still able to believe in invincibility. I miss thinking we were indestructible as well. Captures that adolescent mythology perfectly, that gloriously naive, reckless certainty that the people we love will somehow remain untouched by mortality. And then the roll call of all of his friends, Callum, Hugo, Justin, Saga, Stevie, and the fucking lads. It's so brilliantly human because suddenly this isn't abstract tragedy. It's a real friendship circle, real bodies in real places, boys by the pier, by the cave, laughing in the kind of ordinary moments that become sacred only after they are gone. It's nostalgia, yes, but not polished nostalgia. It's lived in, colloquial, saltwater stained memory. And then comes a line that I think is psychologically masterful. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. Yeah, me too, man. That is profound. He is not merely saying he is becoming numb or became numb. He is saying he became so estranged from his own grief that he even misses the capacity to feel it properly. And That's what trauma can do. It calcifies what once bled. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast is equally magnificent because distance here becomes a coping mechanism masquerading as protection. A plaster cast stabilizes a fracture, yes, but it also mobilizes it. In other words, the thing keeping him from falling apart is also the thing preventing real healing. Then REN delivers what is, to my mind, the emotional axis of the entire song. To tell the truth, the day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. That is one of the best lines that doesn't simply land, it lodges. It tells us that Joe's death was not a chapter ending, it was an epoch collapsing. His childhood is his innocence, his continuity of self, his trust in the world. All of it went to shit at the edge of that same moment. And yet what follows is perhaps even more poignant, but I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you. That is the line of someone who has gone looking for blame and found only love. No righteous fury, no easy villainy, just absence, just ache, just the impossible persistence of affection. Because in those moments you do try to find blame. You do. The final stretch of this passage is excruciating in its intimacy for me. Man, I miss you with all my rhymes. And that suggests that even language itself has become elegy. Every bar, every cadence, every poem is in some subterranean way still reaching for Joe. I picture running 5 minutes quicker. I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge. Is the tortured theater of guilt, the mind's compulsive rewriting of history, forever staging impossible rescues in the hope that imagination might do what reality refused. It is the desperate fantasy of punctuality as salvation and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. That's not just grief speaking. It is love arriving too late and still trying, still speaking into the silence. Then comes the brutal self-indictment, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk. That's painful. It's almost adolescent in its bluntness, and that's exactly why it wounds so deeply, because guilt often strips us of eloquence. There's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt, is the thesis of unresolved mourning. The pain has not receded into memory. It remains a daily weather system. And your body missing, so we never got to wave at the hearse, introduces another harrowing layer. The absence of ceremonial closure, the deprivation of ritual, the cruel theft of even the most basic gestures of goodbye is not there, because that matters. It matters profoundly, which is why the final plea, I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you. That doesn't feel like a lyric at all. It feels like a message sent across the impossible. And from my perspective, as someone who knows what it is to lose a childhood best friend, I can tell you with absolute sincerity that this is not just songwriting of the highest order, this is grief transmuted into testimony. REN is doing something astonishing here. It's fucking brilliant. He is giving language to the private torment so many people carry in silence. And he is doing it with such a naked vulnerability that it becomes almost impossible not to feel your own losses stir in response. Okay, here we go.
Listening, I love you, man. I miss you, absurd fuck.
He really is a freakishly talented human being. Great dexterity. It's vocalese, but it also feels like a wail
Another
and cry.
domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't.
Yeah. So now he's doing very REN-like things. He's now taking a step outside and evaluating the situation from the outside in and the inside out. Yeah, this feels almost like the song widening its lens, stepping for a moment beyond the private chamber of one man's grief and gazing out across the bewildering, bruised theatre of human existence itself. Another domino, it falls across the way another's born. I mean, it's such a quietly magnificent opening because it captures the indifferent simultaneity of life. While one soul is lost, another arrives. While one family is shattered, another is celebrating. It is the terrible and beautiful machinery of existence, birth, and death, not as separate events, but as neighboring rooms in the same house. The domino image that he gives here is especially potent because it implies consequence, chain reaction, the way one life falling can reverberate through countless others. Then, how are you supposed to raise a child and give it courage from the storm? That introduces a deeply philosophical ache. How do we teach resilience in a world that so often seems designed to bewilder and wound? It is not merely a parental question, it is a moral one, a generational one. How do we tell young people to be brave when the world can be so capricious, so merciless, so heartbreakingly difficult to understand? And that leads us seamlessly into his next line. In a world that is confusing, contradiction paves our flaws, which is classic REN in its acuity. The ground beneath us is made of paradox. We are told to be vulnerable, then punished for vulnerability. Told to be strong, then shamed for the ways we fracture. Some will say we're only human. Others judge us for our flaws. It's devastatingly true. It exposes society's hypocrisy with almost surgical precision. We preach compassion in theory, yet in practice can be so mercilessly unkind to those who stumble, struggle, or break. Then the verse moves into social iniquity with stark, almost folkloric simplicity. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. That is REN acknowledging the cruel lottery of existence, that suffering is not disturbed by merit and safety is not guaranteed by goodness. It's a line about class, privilege, fate, and injustice all at once. Some will die before they live. That's just how the story goes. Again, haunting. It speaks of emotional foreclosure, of lives constricted by pain, trauma, circumstance, or despair before they have even yet the chance to bloom. In the context of For Joe, it becomes unbearably poignant because a young man gone at 19 is a life interrupted before it's properly unfolding. But then, and this is where the writing becomes almost liturgical in its tenderness, REN pivots toward a kind of fragile wisdom. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, is a beautiful paradox because he is speaking of the dead not as absent, but as internally present, no longer beside us in body, but still lodged in the architecture of the soul. That phrasing matters. It reframes remembrance as a form of continued companionship. And finally, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, that is to me one of the most quietly important messages in the entire song. It is an exhortation born of regret and love. Speak now while there is still time. Say the thing, make the call, offer the affection, remove the ambiguity, because one of the cruelest dimensions of grief is how often it leaves us with unsaid tenderness rattling around the ribcage. This closing sentiment is not sentiment, it is earned. It comes from someone who knows what it is to wish with every fiber of their being that one more word might have reached the person they loved. And viewers, that is what makes this passage so extraordinary. It transforms personal bereavement into something almost universal, a bruised but beautiful admonition to love audibly, to cherish unapologetically, and to let the people in our lives know clearly, profoundly, and now that they matter. Okay, this is an extraordinarily long video, but yeah, I don't think you can blame me here.
Feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong.
Yeah.
Freckled angels live
Freckled
on.
angels.
Freckled
Not sure
angels
what
climb higher. Freckled angels still inspire. Freckled
reference
angels
that
won't
is to?
forget you. Teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you. Now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you. But for now I'm here
Now my
on
wings are
earth,
missing
stuck
feather.
inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage. And that's all because of you.
Oh, this is so, so, so beautiful. That melodic line, it sounds so hopeful. It's so gorgeous. Okay, the lyrics. I apologize for this video being as long as it is, but in that section, that is where grief, memory, and devotion cease to be merely lamentation, and it becomes something almost benedictory. It's like a hymn, a vow, a whispered liturgy for the beloved dead. Freckled angels stand strong. Freckled angels live on. Immediately feels like an invocation, a private mythology elevated into communal remembrance. And to be completely transparent, I'm not entirely sure what freckled angel specifically refers to here. I think someone may have mentioned it in the comments before, but my brain is quite fuzzy. So do forgive me if I'm missing a layer of context. But even so, the phrase itself carries an unmistakable tenderness, something youthful, human, imperfectly beautiful, and now transfigured into memory. But look, whether it is an inside reference or not, a symbolic phrase or a personal emblem of Joe, REN uses it like a sacred refrain. Freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you. That is especially moving because the language resists annihilation. Joe is not reduced to loss. He is elevated into influence, into legacy, into a continued force that still shapes the living. This is the extraordinary alchemy of love after bereavement. The departed become not merely what was taken, but what still teaches. Then, teach me to live my life better is a line of astonishing humility. REN is not only mourning Joe, he is apprenticing himself to the memory of him. That is such a profound idea, that the dead can continue to tutor us not in presence, but in absence, not through speech, but through the moral and emotional residue they leave within us. 13 years and I still miss you. 3 years and I still miss you. It's simple, direct, devastating, no metaphor, no flourish, just a plain, unornamented truth that time does not erase love and that some absence remains evergreen in the heart. Then comes the line that absolutely floored me. Now my wings are missing a feather. Otherwise, I'd come and join you. It is one of the most fragile and dangerous feeling admissions in the entire song, but it is framed not as surrender, rather as a confession of the depth of longing. the almost gravitational pull grief can exert on the soul. Importantly, he immediately anchors himself in life. But for now, I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body, but for everything it's worth. And what follows is not despair, but transformation. This is where the song becomes transcendent. Instead of allowing the loss to be the final definition, REN names what Joe's memory has forged within him. Made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. It's not merely beautiful. That is grief metabolized into character. He is telling us that Joe's death wounded him irreparably, yes, but Joe's life also left him with gifts, courage, truthfulness, resilience, a deeper moral seriousness. And that, viewers, is perhaps the most luminous and heartbreaking truth of this entire performance. For Joe is not simply a song about losing someone to tragedy. It is about the way love can continue to shape us long after the person themselves is gone. It is about how memory can become muscle, how sorrow can become spine, how the people we lose can still help us stand. And as someone who knows in my own life what it means to lose a childhood best friend and to feel that fracture echo through the years, I can say with complete sincerity again that this ending is nothing short of extraordinary. REN has taken private devastation and turned it into a work of rare emotional candor, one that doesn't merely mourn Joe, but honors him by showing us with trembling honesty how a lost friend can still make us kinder, deeper, and immeasurably more courageous in the life that remains. And I feel that. Okay, let's wrap up this lyrical analysis. It's been by far the most difficult thing I've ever done on this channel. But I do hope that you appreciate it. This melodic line is so beautiful. It gives hope.
Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
Fuck's sake. Yeah, sorry, this is tough. To my ear, one of the most exquisitely tender passages in the entire piece, and I've been saying that a lot, because by this point, the song has moved beyond the raw convulsion of grief and entered something gentler, almost prayerful, as though REN is no longer merely mourning for Joe, but blessing him. Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. It's so disarmingly beautiful because it restores personality to the person behind the tragedy. Because Joe is not remembered here as a statistic, nor even solely as a sorrow. He is remembered as someone vivid, warm, perhaps mischievous, someone whose laughter was abundant and whose heart was expansive and full. And that matters profoundly in the mourning process, because one of the cruelest fucking things loss can do is flatten a person into the manner of their leaving. And REN refuses that utterly. But instead, he reanimates Joe through affection, through cherished qualities, through the intimate shorthand only deep friendship can create. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels. The motif, and it just turns it into something almost celestial, but Crucially, not into a saccharine way. It feels like a coping theology, a private cosmology of comfort. Ren is constructing an image in which Joe is not fallen, but ascended, not extinguished, but traveling beyond the limits of earthly suffering. It is the language of someone trying with trembling hands to imagine peace for someone he could not save. What Ren has done here with this song is take it to a place of fragile, almost miraculous solace. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds they are the strongest. That sounds like a quiet benediction. It is a gentle, enduring truth lifted from grief into something almost mythic. Even if we cannot fully know what Freckled Angels is, or at least I can't, the essence is clear. The departed are not diminished. They are strengthened, sanctified in memory and spirit. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're going to be okay. Transforms personal mourning into communal reassurance. Love, memory, and enduring connection become a kind of bridge, allowing the lost to rest and the living to continue with courage and tenderness. It is a closing of the circle. Viewers, this is where sorrow meets care, where absence is softened by devotion, and where the ultimate act of love is faith. The faith that the soul we mourned is held, cherished, and at peace, and within our own hearts, though broken, it'll still continue to beat with the warmth of their memory. This is not simply lyricism. It is not grace distilled into a sound. It is a whisper across time from one human heart to the other. And I think that's why he was beating his heart. And from my perspective, from my experience, from my pain, I can beat my heart too. So I hope that made sense to you all. I was interpreting it through a very, very personal lens. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, and I usually say something here at the end, but instead I'll say this. Never underestimate the power of the question, how are you? And mean it when you ask. Cheers.